Ladies and gents, this is the moment you've waited for.
Now that everything is planed to the appropriate thickness, what I like to do is lay out everything with tape so I know exactly what these pieces are for. They're not all cut to the appropriate dimension yet, which is what I'm going to do now. So I got to make sure that I have everything in line the way it needs to be so I don't screw this up because I have limited supply. So now that I've got that part figured out, I'm just going to take the jointed edge, put it up against the fence, and then cut these pieces to size and then laminate them together for my big 3-inch thick pieces. I've also milled up some 3/4 inch hickory that will be used for the top of the legs, and then I'll cut up some squares for the feet. One big thing that you always need to do when laying out your tabletop, you want to lay out where your tongues are going to be and your grooves. So using blue painter's tape like I've done here and marking with T's, G's on all the pieces that are going to consist on the tabletop is always a wise thing. Now I've got my dado stack set up here to 3/8 of an inch wide. This will help me dial in how wide I want to make the grooves as well as the tongues. The breadboard ends are going to be 1 inch deep, while the remaining pieces are going to be a 1/2 inch deep. I'm using this mag shim setup to help me adjust the height of the blade, and it is very versatile in setting blade height as well as bit height on your router table. If you want one of these, check out my Amazon store. I'll leave a link down in the description. Now with all the grooves cut, I'm going to set up the table saw now to cut all the tongues to match. After a little dry fit, just put it in the clamps with some glue, and then I gotta do a little fine tuning. Let me show you. There may be a little discrepancy with some of these tongues that are going on these breadboard ends, and I've just taken a router plane and I've smoothed some of those out, making them nice and flat so the breadboard ends just slip on. Now when doing glue ups in the shop, if I don't want to have my earphones in, to help pass the time and not be dead silent, I've recently acquired something that I've been using for a while and I really like how it sounds. And it's the Cove Subwoofer speaker. That's right, you heard it, a subwoofer. So this thing can sit multitude of ways, on its side or on its end. If you put it inside of a cabinet, it makes it sound even deeper, and I really like that too. It has about 8 hours of runtime. Features a touch screen on top for left and right, as well as a volume knob at the very top. It will connect via Bluetooth to your phone, tablet, or even your computer if you're running sound through that. There's 2 equalizer modes, indoor and outdoor, and that way you're ensured to have the best quality sound from it as well. And if somebody happens to call, this thing will double as a mic and a speaker at the same time. Now, here's the cool part. I'm going to give you an indefinite code that's good one time per customer, so it doesn't matter when you're watching this video. Just use ROCKN, R-O-C-K-N, and you'll save 65% off when you purchase this. So even if you're watching this years from now, you'll still be able to pick one up for yourself at that discounted rate. You'll find a link to that down in the description below. I've got all the pieces that came out of the clamps smooth and cut to length, so everything is nice and flush and 90 degrees. So it's time to start laying out for the joinery. Let me show you what I'm doing over here. Now this piece is going to be the trestle, and these are the uprights. I've got them on both ends. Now the trestle is going to stick through the upright as well as the foot about 1/8 of an inch. So I need to lay out how long that tongue needs to be. Now the trestle is going to be a through tenon that will stick through the upright as well as the foot that it's going to adjoin. And I only want about 1/8 inch to stick out. So I'm going to take a piece of the mag shim, which is an 1/8 inch red piece, and I'm going to use the metal as a backer or reference. And then I'm just going to put it up against there like that and then push that right up against the red shim. And then when I take it away, that is an 1/8 inch overlay. So now just take a fine pencil and scribe a mark on the trestle. And I'm just going to continue that line all the way around except on one side. Now a cool thing I've done with this little story stick, I've loosened both of these and then I've slid this back and forth until the marks by each piece are equal, and then I tighten them down, and that way I'll be able to find center. So now what I've done is I've found the center line of the foot itself, and I'm taking the story stick now with the pieces in place and putting it right on 0 where the center line is, and that will give me my borders for my upright. All I have to do is just transfer the marks, and I know not to exceed these lines whenever I go to cut my joinery. With the joinery laid out and a stop block on the crosscut sled and my blade set to a 1/2 inch high, I'm going to cut the joinery for the feet, and then I'll do the uprights. Now before I hog out the area where the double stub tenon is going to go from the upright, I'm going to go ahead and make the double stub tenon on the upright, and then I'll cut these to match. Alright, now that the double stub tenon has been established on the upright as far as the borders go, I can now mark on the adjacent foot where it needs to be hogged out. Okay, now with all that hogged out, you can see where the tenons will be accepted. I just need to clean out the bottoms a little bit. Alright, I went ahead and hogged out the center of the double stub tenon on the upright, and after a little finessing, it fits perfectly. Now we're going to do a test fit. The tenon's not quite done yet because I need to cut it down to thickness, but we can do a test fit here and see that it fits that double stub that we made perfectly. Now with that tenon cut, let's go ahead and see how it all fits together. Oh, nice. I gotta do a little cleaning of them, but for the most part, they're done. All right, and here's the whole trestle kind of put together. Now it doesn't have the little uprights, but I don't know. Looks good to me. Everything's fitting nice and snug how I want it to. So as you guys just saw, I spent just a little bit of time over at the miter station to cut the 45-degree angles on all of the X braces, including the big ones that are going to go in the middle. Now, I've got to glue on this piece right here to the top of the horizontal piece on the leg so it can mount to the table. And since this is a large glue up, I'm just taking a little bit of salt, sprinkling it in the glue so it keeps the piece from slipping and sliding around too much. Now another thing I did is measure where the angle brackets meet on the feet so I can put 2 screws that come in from the bottom. I also did that exact same thing on the trestle. And we're going to attach the block feet to the other part of the trestle bottoms. One last thing I've done before started to sand is I've done a countersunk hole for a lag bolt that will go through here and into the tabletop for mounting. This hole is a little bit bigger than the diameter of this lag bolt, so it has room to move, and because it's countersunk, it's flush with the surface. But as you can see, it moves quite a bit, so it's got room for expansion and contraction, and it'll give me about that much for attachment to the table. So let's get this thing assembled already. And for those of you that are wondering, yes, I did make a matching bench. But if you are wondering why I didn't show you how to assemble this breadboard in properly, well, I do have another contract of tabletops that I am going to be making that will show you how to make these properly with tongue and groove joinery and pinning them in place. So I hope you can join me on that one. Whenever I go to spray this, I will be showing a video on how to properly set up your gun using pre-cat lacquers. I know I've done one before. This one's going to be a little bit different. So I hope you guys can join me on that video as well. So thank you for joining me. Hope you enjoyed this particular episode, and I will be seeing you on the follow-up. So 1, 2, 3, boom!